Yes, Manu. Wait for me. I'm just making my coffee. Mama's just making her coffee. Go upstairs. I'll follow you. I'll just finish my coffee. Okay.
Oh, let's dede. Can we dede on the couch? Let's go.
I'm already here, right? Yeah? Okay, I'm already here. Hi everyone! Welcome to the vlog. Today, I am going to have a very different kind of vlog because I'm going to announce something. Okay, the announcement is I was positive. Positive, not for COVID, thankfully. And the other good news is that I was positive for pregnancy. So yay! Happy, good news. But the bad news there is I was positive. That means I no longer am. Pasensya na kayo, medyo sad yung news ko today, and I only really decided to share it because I find it that, when I share my vulnerabilities and my struggles to my viewers, nakaka-relate kayo sa akin, and somehow siguro meron siyang effect na parang yung pagka nakikinig din ako ng kwento ng iba, it makes me feel a little less alone. I know it's sad, I know that there's grief in our pain, but when we hear others share their story, di ba parang kahit papano, natutulungan ka na, hindi naman pala ako mag-isa. And as always, that has been my goal on my channel. 2022 has been quite a year for me because this is not exactly the first pain of the year. This is also the year that I lost my eldest sister that I'm very, very close to. She died in April. This is also when Ma'am Lenny lost the election. So that's another kind of grief. Naalala ko nga nung natalo si Ma'am Lenny, sabi ko, nanghihingi ako ng miracle tungkol sa ate ko na sana mabuhay pa siya nung nasa peligro na yung buhay niya. And hindi natupad. I was asking for another miracle when Ma'am Lenny was running for president na, Lord, sana manalo siya, ganyan. And it didn't happen. Sabi ko, ang sakit naman ng taon na to. May dalawa akong miracles na hindi nangyari. Idagdag pa natin to, no? So, a little before Father's Day, I found out that I was pregnant. This one was quite different because I'm already 41. And so, when I missed my period, sabi ko, hala, nag-start na ako ng premenopausal symptoms. Plus the fact that I took a pregnancy test and nag-negative siya. Pero something in me made me want to check after about a week yata. And I did another pregnancy test and ayun na, nag-positive na siya. I was in disbelief. Ito siguro yung first time na hindi kami nagtatry pero merong nakalusot. In fact, prior to this accident, my husband and I were talking about the different options of not getting pregnant anymore. Kasi we were feeling na nga that like the age. Also, when you see a lot of things that you couldn't see before when you were younger, like how to be there for your children in your old age and all that. Parang sabi namin, baka ito na nga yun. Tsaka tinatanggap na rin namin sa puso namin na baka naman talagang God really just has 2 kids for us. And we are very, very happy already na parang, Lord, thank you na nakadalawa pa kami. So, medyo surprise talaga yun. Surprise! When I saw that the pregnancy test turned positive, I immediately messaged my OB to say that, Doc, I think I'm pregnant. And then we calculated some things and she said, oh, you're right. You must be. So, let's wait a while and you rest and you eat well. Yun lang yung mga sinabi niya sa akin. Ako naman, parang hindi ko maintindihan yung feelings ko kasi sabay-sabay siyang nangyayari sa akin. One is, I'm at the height of my physical fitness. I've never been this physically fit in my entire life. And all of a sudden, I had to restrain myself from my physical activities. I don't know if you noticed, but I would post like old stuff. But I wouldn't say it just so people don't notice on online na, something's up. Kasi pag nag-stop ako, mag-post ng gano'n, they would already know, and I didn't want that thing in my head pa. I was already very wary about it. It is because kung hindi pa po ninyo alam ang story ko, it is in my past vlogs as well. I've already miscarried twice prior to this. My firstborn had no problems whatsoever. It was a problem-free pregnancy, and even delivery was okay. And I was so happy with our firstborn that all I could think about was to have another baby. By the time that we were trying for the second baby, I just had to wait for my sugat to heal kasi nga na-CS ako. And then when I felt like it was good to try again, we did. And upon the second try, we were able to conceive naman after a few months. And this was my first experience of miscarriage. It's actually termed missed abortion kasi what happened to me was I went to my OB and she was trying to find the heartbeat of the baby and the Doppler didn't pick it up. Ang sabi niya lang sa akin was, oh, sometimes it happens. Either it's so faint and the baby is so small, you can't get the heartbeat yet. But she asked me to go to the other side of the hospital and get an ultrasound so we could know for sure. And when we got that ultrasound, hindi talaga ako prepared kasi nagulat ako na parang patay na yung baby sa loob. And I do remember tensing up like my entire body at that moment. Because I was like telling myself, focus really hard on what she's going to say because you can't let your guards down at this moment, because I felt like pag umiyak ako doon, baka wala na akong madinig pagkatapos nun. So, talagang it was taking all of my energy to focus on what my OB was gonna say, because when we were walking back to her clinic, she was telling me a couple of things that I would do as a result or in response to what we found out sa ultrasound. I think for about a year na-depress ako nun. Tapos yung depression ko nag-escalate siya into fear. Na feeling ko may mamamatay, ganun. And so it really took me a while to actually try for another baby. And so when I got over that first stage, I tried for another baby. And the same thing happened. Although very different yung process, because when I went there, I think what they saw was the sac and they couldn't determine if the baby wasn't gonna develop anymore or not. So they had to give it some time, and I had to wait out 2 weeks before I could find out for sure if the baby was gonna live or not. And I do remember that 2 weeks felt like an eternity. Kasi naghihintay ka lang na parang, Lord, ano ba? Mabubuhay ba yung baby ko? Tsaka hindi mo alam kung itutuloy mo bang umasa o hindi. Kasi nga, nakabitin ka. Ayaw mo naman sabihin na, wala na to. Kasi what if nabuhay? And then, di mo rin naman pwedeng sabihin, fully embrace na, hindi, buhay na buhay to. Ganon. Kasi, you're kind of like guarding yourself na rin for the worst possible outcome. So fast forward, in ultrasound ako ulit, they saw that, it was a non-viable pregnancy. The baby did not develop, no heartbeat. So what I felt was like shock. Because this could happen twice. Yung parang, totoo ba ito? One suffering and one loss not enough. I went home and did the process all over again, how it was with the first na I had to take something because it was a missed abortion, meaning because it was non-viable pregnancy, my body should have detected that progress already and, flushed it out of my body. But it wasn't able to do that. My OB gave me medicines to help me flush it out. It's such an unfair process. You're delivering, you're still laboring for something. Or you drink something and you labor for it, which is what I did. Yung una at pangalawa ko, talagang umiiri ako for it. And when it came out, you feel the same symptoms when you deliver a baby. Yung difference lang talaga is wala ka namang hawak na bata. It really did affect me mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. I went through a lot. Sabi nga ng aking counselor, wow, you've been through a lot. That's rapid fire trauma. It would happen in such a very short period of time. Pero sunod-sunod na wala raw akong panahon to actually get up and heal and recover before something happens to me again. After those two, it took me a while. I also was advised to see if there was something wrong with my body, if I had APAS. I only had problems keeping the baby alive. And so, with the help of like different doctors, I was able to put my body in the right shape for another baby when I was ready. Took me a while. Talaga nag-pray ako kasi sabi ko, napaka-traumatic nito. Ayoko nang dumaan sa process na nalaman kong pregnant ako. Tapos, pagpunta ko sa ospital, wala namang pala. And when I felt like I was ready, and after all of the workup for my body, we tried again. And that time, I was able to conceive and be pregnant for the whole term and deliver a live baby boy, and that was Manny. So he is my rainbow baby. Yung story actually ni Manu medyo kakaiba. When I got pregnant with him, ito yung first pregnancy ko na sobrang bugbog ako sa medicines kasi nga, given my history in the past. Plus, all of my labs pa showing some markers that, wherein I could siguro support it with medicines. But prior to that, paano ko nalaman na nabuhay siya was very, very special because I just remember walking around Uniqlo. Tapos sa feel ko, may gosh na lumabas sa akin. When I went to the banyo, I saw fresh blood and I was like, oh, it's happening all over again. I'm going to lose this baby. And I was like 90% sure that the baby was not gonna have a heartbeat, that, I just won't have a baby after this. And so I was very slow in like taking myself to the hospital and all that. But when I got there, nagulat ako that the first thing I heard was the sound of his heartbeat beating so strong. And hindi ko talaga makalimutan yun kasi iyak talaga ako ng iyak. Sabi ko, grabe buhay siya. Nandun siya. It was such a refreshing thing to hear. The sound of life is just so special. When you hear a heartbeat, when you see that flickering on screen na may tumitibok na puso, ang lakas makahappy, di ba? And so fast forward, yung pregnancy na yun with Manu, I also documented it from the time na sinabi ko sa asawa ko na pregnant ako and all that. It was also a very tough pregnancy because everyone was making sure that I get to protect that baby inside of me. Kahit na ang hirap-hirap at ang gastos-gastos kasi napakarami ko pong injections, gamot, seremonyas para lang ma-make sure na protektado yung aking baby sa loob ko. Pero worth it naman. Tuwing nakikita ko naman si Manu, I would do all of that all over again for that baby. We're very happy already with the two boys. We were already contemplating, are we gonna do vasectomy or contraception moving forward because I'm in that stage wherein, I could still make babies, but it can also be very risky na because of my age, given pa my history. So, nag-isip talaga kami ng asawa ko na, okay na ba tayo sa dalawa? Of course, kung tatanungin niyo ako, gusto ko madami. Gusto ko ng ganon. Gusto ko ng maraming anak. So, for this last one, oh my gosh, pregnant. So when I found out I was pregnant, I told my OB. I did rest. I wasn't announcing yet. Not even to my husband because I was trying to delay it for the Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, love. And when he opened it, if I'm right, he was very guarded about his reaction because this isn't the first time that it's happening.
Christine?
The both of us already know the drill na pag nabubuntis ako, hindi kami pwedeng agad-agad i-embrace yung pregnancy as though it's going to happen because we know that there is a possibility of losing that. Very tricky kasi you want to have faith and you want to believe that there is life. Of course, I want the baby to not have bad vibes, di ba, inside of me. But hindi mo rin kasi mapigilan sa sarili mo na aasa ka pero at the same time guarded ka rin. Kasi nga alam mo na pagka masyado mong in-embrace, magiging masakit naman kung sakasakaling yung news na makuha mo ay opposite sa inaasahan mo. I can instead be in a act of trust na, Lord, you know what's happening and I'm going to wait on you. So, yun yung posture ng heart ko. One time na lang kasi naka-feel ako ng contractions. Sinabi ko kaagad sa OB ko. And I already had an inkling na sabi ko, siguro baka this would be another loss. But I didn't give it up completely because, who am I to do that? And then my OB said, go for an ultrasound so we know what's wrong with you or if there's anything wrong with you. And when I went for the first time, they saw that there was a sac, no embryo, and no bleeding, nothing abnormal. So they just told me to continue resting and to eat healthy food. At the same time, they prescribed medicines for me, and then I was ordered to get some labs. So parang yun pa lang yung process. However, it was very, very hard because every time I have to take medicines for my pregnancy, it makes me a completely different person. As in, talagang napakahirap sa katawan. Talagang ito yung mafe-feeling mo na nagdadala nga talaga yung ina. Siya yung nagdadala ng lahat sa loob ng katawan niya. Hindi lang nung bata, kung hindi lahat nung burden nakasama nung pregnancy, lalo na when it's a complicated pregnancy. After that, I felt like okay pa. I had all the pregnancy symptoms. And then I also felt even sciatica. Sabi ko, that's a good sign even if it's painful because at least there's something growing in me. I was ordered for another ultrasound a week ba or 2 weeks to see if the baby grew. I could still feel something back then. And when I went for another ultrasound, they saw that it's still a sac na wala pa ring embryo sa loob. On the second ultrasound, medyo sabi ko, parang tagilid It grew, but still no development of an embryo. However, within the time frame na yon, hindi pa nila masasabi na it will not develop at all because it still could. So sabi nila, we'll wait 1 more week and we'll see na kung talaga magde-develop ba o hindi. You could just tell that that was like one of the longest weeks of my life. Yun na yung na-feel ko na nagda-drop na yung pregnancy symptoms. Nawawala na siya pa isa-isa. I felt less pregnant. Nawala yung sciatica ko. Then I also started bleeding. First spot lang muna. And then, lumalakas na siya. So, I was already informing my doctor. And, I was kind of like prepared because this was different from the other two because this one spontaneously, I just bled. So, I felt like my body knew already now there was no life in my womb. So, when I went for my last ultrasound, nakita nila it's still a sac. It did not develop any embryo at all. And we had to already accept the reality that this is not gonna develop anymore. And at the same time, I started to just bleed and bleed a lot. So, I knew the pregnancy has ended. Siguro kung i-differentiate ko yung tatlong experience ko ng miscarriage, no? Yung first ko was shock. That led me to depression. Yung pangalawa ko, feeling ko ang unfair. Lord, bakit mo hinayaang mangyari to sa akin? Tapos feeling ko ang daya-daya. Tapos nagkaroon din ako ng, I must admit, tampo kay Lord na parang, mo to hinahayaang mangyari sa akin? For this third one, parang feeling ko I'm calmer and more peaceful about it. Parang God has prepared my heart better this time. It's more of like, Lord, tulungan mo na lang ako ma-manage yung pain. Kasi ayoko na talaga sanang madaanan yung ganun sobrang sakit, physical pain before. But is there still a feeling of loss and grief? Meron pa rin. Hindi ko rin mapigilang umasa Kasi kahit na alam ko na malamang hindi na to mangyari. Every time na pupunta ako for ultrasound at titingnan ko yung monitor, meron pa rin ako 1% in me na nafe-feel ko, na umaasa na may makitang buhay dun sa screen. Sana kahit papano ma-share ko sa inyo what were the things that helped me. We all have times when we're asking God for a miracle. And sometimes, the answer talaga is no, not yet. What do we do when God says no? I was reminded of the verse from Job where it says, "Naked I came from mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." So many of us focus only on what He has taken away, but not what He has given. When your focus shifts from what He has taken away, you'll see na hindi ka lang naman pala puno ng losses sa buhay mo. The Lord has given us so much also in life that probably are so hard for others to have. And siya toxic positivity for me. Pero reality siya na, totoo nga no, ang daming nawala sa akin, pero ang dami ko rin namang nakuha. I think it's only a matter of acknowledging na while there were things that He did not give me and has taken away from me, I also cannot just say that that's all He does. That God has given and continues to give far more than what I could think of na kailangan ko sa buhay. So that is when I discovered that pain and peace can coexist, because God naman is not telling me to don't feel your pain. He does want us to feel pain where we should feel pain. Tama lang naman talaga maramdaman yun. Life is not just all about pain. Kaya kasi nilang both na mangyari sa'yo. And that has given me a whole lot of my sanity back. Naisip ko rin yun sa pagkawala ng ate ko na kahit naman dinecide na ni Lord na gusto niya nang kunin yung ate ko pabalik, nagpapasalamat pa rin ako na kahit papano sa 57 years of her life, we still had her instead of not having her at all. Books often help me understand my pain and understand God in the midst of my pain and how He is. Yung tanong kasi natin kay Lord kapag nangyayari yung mga ganitong bagay ay, nasaan ka ba? Bakit mo ba to inaalaw sa akin? And I think it's very, very helpful. Isa yan sa mga natutunan ko when dealing with my pain. And that's the authenticity that we must have when we're going through suffering. That we can actually verbalize this and say everything that we feel to God without really getting afraid of what He will think. God is not intimidated by our pain, whining, grumbling, or groaning. Hindi ka ba aaray kapag talagang may masakit na nangyayari sa'yo? And our tendency kasi is to look for someone to blame. Either ourselves, or another person, or God. And it gives you that temporary satisfaction of may reason kung ba't ito nangyari sa akin, meron lang kasing masama. And then, when the emotion dies down, you can begin to reassess and to think better. And that's my process. Hopefully, ganun din yung sa inyo. And isa nga sa mga nakatulong sa akin is when I was reading this book, The Reason for God by Tim Keller. The other book that has helped me a lot is this one, A Grief Observed. This is C.S. Lewis, one of my most favorite Christian authors. But this is the one that was talking about journal sa pagkamatay ng asawa niya. And I like this book a lot because in the beginning of his journals, galit na galit siya. At for somebody na sobrang lakas ng faith, nakita mo na nag-falter siya at the face of death. Meron nga siyang part dito na parang you never really know how much you believe in something and how true or false it is for you until it becomes a matter of life and death to you. It is so true. When my sister died, I kept thinking, Lord, is heaven real? It has to be real. But now I can't believe it. Where is she? But you know what helped me in this book? It documents the journey of a person in grief. He will go through questioning someone he believed to be the authority and then end up with, but who am I to say that he's evil, that he's not capable? What do I know? I'm only man. Ano ba nga talagang alam niya, di ba? May solusyon ba siya? Kung may solusyon man siya, gaano ba niya kaalam na tama yung alam niya? You know, you don't know everything. God does, and He has shown you over and over that He is true and real in your life. Another thing that helped me was actually just the Bible, seeing that when Jesus came to earth, He did a lot of miracles, but He also did not do it all. He actually left so much of this to His disciples. And even with His disciples, miracles have continued, but still, hindi lahat natutupad. And I think that's one of the biblical truths. It has to be a deep understanding for you to accept this truth, that yun yung sinasabi sa Bible na we are already victorious, we have already won, but also at the same time, not yet. At the end of it all, parang pelikula, makikita mo naman na there will be no more tears, no more pain, no more sickness. But at the same time, dahil nandito pa tayo sa panahon na to, that everything just cannot be the way it's supposed to be in the end pa rin muna. Sabi ko nga, there's always evidence for both. Palagi na lang nating nakikita yung hindi na yan mangyayari, hindi na yan totoo, or masasaktan ka lang. Pero pagka binuka mo pa ng mas maigi yung mga mata mo, makikita mo all around you that there's evidence for both, meaning there's evidence for pain, but there's also evidence for joy. And for as long as there is that, I can continue to hope na, Lord, maybe, who knows, I can have that miracle for myself. But ultimately, it really is kasi it boils down to a relationship na how much do I trust my Father in heaven ba? Whether He gives me miracle or management in the today, He still loves me kasi every time we suffer, it's always a question of relationship. Hindi siya yung tungkol lang sa pain eh. Parang sa mga tatay natin, di ba? Gusto ko to, ayaw niya ibigay. Tapos sobrang sakit na sakit ka na, ba't di mo binibigay ito sa akin? Kaya mo naman. And the second realization there was na ibigay man niya o hindi yung ibang bagay sa'yo. Ang isang mabuting tatay ay nanggagaling pa rin sa isang lugar ng pagmamahal. May rason lang talaga siya. Pero it doesn't mean He loves you less. And I think when I've settled that in my heart, nagkaroon ako ng peace. Whether makuha ko yung gusto ko o hindi, mahal ako ng Father ko in heaven. And I think that's all I want to share. I just really wanted to share that to be able to help those of you who suffer. And maybe if you have people who suffer around you also, who are in pain, you can be a little more considerate and you had a glimpse of what goes on in their heads. Because it's really a process. For me to get to the point of where I am right now, process din po yun. Hindi siya dumiretso sa, yay, God is good, diba? Kasi hindi naman totoong process ng isang tao yun. Meron din kasing klase ng pain na sa sobrang lakas, hindi mo kayang magkaroon ng logical at ng right disposition of the heart. Kasi nga, mas overwhelming yung pain kaysa sa ability mo to tap into the Spirit and to tap into what God has for you, diba? At ang pinaka-importante doon ay naiintindihan yun ni God. He lovingly and patiently waits until we've gave Him all of our feelings and our worries and put it at the feet of the cross and say, Lord, eto na, nasigaw ko na lahat ng gusto kong isigaw. Now can you speak? Oo, magagalit tayo kay God. Pwede nating sabihin lahat ng nasa sa loob natin sa Kanya. Pero lagi ko lang iniiwan din yung miski 1% lang yan. Sagad ka na naiiwan para magpakitang gilas ka sa akin, Lord. And every time I do that, He is faithful to show up. I always leave that portion wherein I say, Lord, you know, you always give grace for everything. Sometimes, it's not really about changing my situation, but changing my heart and my mind. And if you can do that, you're a very, very strong and powerful God indeed. Because if it were only up to me, my head is just gonna overpower the whole of me and, you know, just go my way. Kaya kanyang dalin from a place of just being downcast to a place of healing and hope. Sana kahit papano, nabigyan ko kayo ng paraan na ma-endure yung sarili ninyong suffering for the time being. Because I am still suffering. I still have my bouts of sadness, but I'm getting there. Thank you for listening to me today. Siguro before I go na lang, I will remind you of the verse in the Bible where it says that God is near to the brokenhearted. So when pain happens, I pray that there is something very beautiful happening in that season as well. And that is a time when you can be really, really close to God. Some of my greatest and most beautiful and most wonderful revelations of God has come to me while I was in deep pain. That's it. Thank you for listening. And I pray for your own journey in this suffering that you may discover more of Him and that you will heal beautifully in the process. God bless you guys, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.